Like your hat, Mayor Black.
I'm on another Zoom call with some other folks on this other screen, so I just had to show them my derby outfit so far, so that's all.
We're at 10 right now. So we're at 11. So we're one short, so we should be good as they're popping up here. I see Jack Kaufman is.
Yeah, all right, great. Thank you for working us in, Judge. We appreciate it. No problem. All right, you good? Okay, sounds like we've got a consensus. All right, well, thanks everybody. Jim, you and I probably put our heads together later, and you can maybe start having some conversation with Flynn as well. I don't know how close they are to it.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It looks like we still have a few people slowly joining us, but I believe we have enough for a quorum to get the meeting started. I want to welcome you to the April 22nd meeting, April board meeting of the Kentucky and Regional Planning and Development Board. First item on the agenda is roll call. Jarrett, please.
We have the Honorable John Black.
Here.
Honorable Bernard Bowling.
Here.
Honorable John Logan Brent. Honorable Sean Crothers.
Here.
Honorable Byron Chapman.
Here.
Honorable Beverly Chester Burton. Honorable Jack Kaufman. I see you on there, Jack, so I've got you down. Mr. Matt Munet for the Honorable Bill Deeriff.
Here.
Mr. Brian Dixon. The Honorable David Eaton. Mr. Kevin Beatty.
Here.
Mr. Jeff O'Brien for the Honorable Greg Fisher. Honorable Jeff Gahan. Mr. Keith Griffey.
Here.
Honorable Treva Hodges. Honorable Dan Eisen. Mr. Andy Crouch for the Honorable Mike Moore. Honorable Todd Pollock. And I see Honorable Beverly Chester Burton has joined, so I've got you marked down. Honorable John Riley.
Here.
Honorable Joe Robinson. Honorable Jerry Summers, Honorable Rick Tanini.
Here.
The Honorable Jim Travis,
Here.
and the Honorable David Vogel.
Here.
We do have a quorum, and if I could just make the request, Mr. Chairman, that if we could skip on to item number 6, the report from KLC, because I know that JD Cheney has another obligation that he's fitting us in for, so we could go on to him. I think that'd be best, and I'd appreciate it.
That would be fine. So at this time, we will hear a report from the Director of KLC, Mr. JD Cheney, who is the Executive Director. JD, I think you're muted.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you. As you can see, I'm unfortunately on the road in Eastern Kentucky. Between visiting a couple of cities, and I just want to thank you all for the opportunity to be able to join with you all to provide a legislative update. In my cell service drops, I have Brianna Carers to be able to provide a legislative update in the feed. Can you all hear me?
You are cutting in and out, but we are receiving it, yes.
No, we're not.
Now
JD,
we're not.
we still have you on mute.
Brianna?
This is Brianna. I'm on here to, JD sent the link to me so I could help fill in since he's in Eastern Kentucky and obviously the cell service is not great. So we had a great session this year. We passed a record number of bills, 17 items off of our KLC agenda. I don't know if any other organization was that successful, and we credit that to our membership being so engaged. It was a great session, especially with the limitations of access into the building, and just with all of the COVID restrictions, we had a very successful session. We passed half of the bills that our board voted to support, and the best statistic of all is maintaining the zero passage of bills that we oppose. So we're very grateful to our membership for calling when we've asked them to call on any of the bills that were proposed that we oppose. So that was a success as well. Obviously, COVID recovery and the governor's emergency powers were top issues during the 2021 session. We were able to pass House Bill 272, which protects the municipal utilities from the cutoffs, and also for being able to, so that the utilities are able to institute the fees and the penalties for those delinquent payments. We heard from many cities about this problem when the governor's executive order went into place and prevented the cutoffs as well as the collection of the penalty fees. So we were able to include that, as well as classifying the utility employees as essential workers. There was a great concern that if a utility employee were to come into contact with COVID and then there was a quarantine, you could take out an entire department and put them on quarantine and not be able to provide for essential services such as your water utility or any of your utilities. So that was something that we had requested of the governor's office and they would not make an amendment to their order. And so we were able to pass that in House Bill 272. Obviously, Senate Bill 5 passed that provided the COVID-related liability protections for businesses and local governments. And so that was another success. Just like COVID, policing issues were also at the top of our agenda. We were able to pass Senate Bill 80 and strengthen the decertification laws that were passed in 2019. And also Senate Bill 4 passed, which tightens when and how the executive, when the warrants to authorize entry without notice. So your no-knock warrants, those were limited as well. Senate Bill 105 passed, which was something that we have filed in previous sessions related to abandoned blighted properties. And we hear from communities all the time about the issues of these buildings and how they're impacting their cities. And we did a lot of research. Our staff researched other states and how they're handling what their options are. Kentucky, actually, our communities have a lot of options, but some of them are lengthy in the process of how to deal with them, and the benefit sometimes does not outweigh what the procedures to try to get these back on the books. So there is an option that several states have, which creates a conservatorship. And this just allows a local government to appoint a conservator, which would then, who could be a private individual or a nonprofit, and that individual or nonprofit could bring the property into compliance just with code requirements. There were some concerns about gentrification, and so we were able to make sure it was clear that it's a limited number of properties that would qualify, but that it really just needs to come up to code. So there's a list of multiple requirements that must be met for the court to appoint a conservator, that it would ensure that those measures cannot be used by developers who want to buy up those properties and try to gentrify the neighborhood, like I said. Also, we passed House Bill 249, which allows cities to share the tax refund applications with other taxing districts. Now, there were a lot of concerns about if, because individuals are working from home due to COVID, that if their home, their residence is outside of the municipal limits of where their employer is located, and there could be a lot of requests potentially for the occupational tax refunds. And so the language that we were able to add into House Bill 249 just allows the taxing districts to share, to ensure that there's no abuse going on. Senate Bill 66, it's kind of timely with summer coming up, passed as well, that allows youth camps to operate without being required to become licensed child care facilities. The Cabinet for Health and Family Services, we had worked something out with them in previous years, and then with the new administration, they were creating some difficulties for any of our cities, local governments that operate youth camps, and saying that if you operate more than 2 weeks, that you need to become a licensed child care facility. So that was something we were able to clarify as well. We also modernized in Senate Bill 88 how cities file with the Secretary of State anytime there is a boundary change and annexation. Typically, or what the current practice is, I guess, is that if an annexation occurs, the paper, the map is printed, and then it's sent to the Secretary of State's office, all the documentation. The individual who manages that process likes the large papers to spread out, and it's 2021, and so we are modernizing that process to be able to allow for a digital copy of that map, which cities already receive from their engineers, surveyors, and so that is just sent directly to the Secretary of State's office to try to expedite that process. So when the mapping GIS individuals are able to receive the actual maps instead of trying to code it from a paper. So that was something we were excited about that passed. For those of you that have been around for the free CERS movement, We passed House Bill 9, which creates a separate statutory structure for CERS. We were able to create the board last session and really dive into the structure of that. But what we weren't able to do, just because of the lengthy process, was to separate the statutes, because CERS and KERS and SPRS are all tied in one statute. And the hope with that is that in the event that there is another effort for pension reform, which could be needed for the KERS side, that it provides a separate discussion for CERS employers and employees, so that they are able to, because you would have to pull in the separate statutes. So that's the goal with separating those statutes for CERS. House Bill 7 passed, which created the Recovery Ready Communities program, and it established an advisory council, which will create a certification program. So it's not mandatory, but it does allow for a certification program to address substance abuse problems. KLC does have a seat on that board, so we were proud to work on that legislation as well. Looking at House Bill 312, House Bill 312 addressed open records requests, and that's something that many of our clerks and cities have talked with us about. Some of you may have been hit with the out-of-state requests that are just fishing expeditions many times. Openthebox.com, I think JD references a lot. Some of these groups are not really serving a purpose, but to just fill data on their sites. And so that is taking up a lot of our staff time, which is local taxpayer dollars. And so we really tried to narrow that to ensure that out of state or all media organizations can still make requests. So the New York Times or any of those media organizations can request out of state, or the information, but that the individuals who are just fishing cannot. And so we are really excited about that, to narrow that down for our cities, but also that we were able to extend the time period for those requests. So currently there's 3 days, and we extended that time to 5 days for responding to an open records request. Obviously, there is still an executive order that's in place with the 10 days due to the COVID from the governor, what he's issued. That is held up in court right now. So until there's a decision on that case, that executive order is still in place. When we're looking at I'm trying to make sure I don't run out of or go over time, just because the sheer number of bills that were passed. But what I don't want to miss is the fact that because of the session and the top priorities for organizations such as KLC, KCO, the Chamber, and others, infrastructure was, everyone put in a great deal of effort. We had many cities and counties that passed resolutions in support, but at the end of the day, that still did not pass. And so as we're looking at next session and just really what to work on this interim, we've been out talking with some city officials already, and just really requesting that everyone continue to talk with their legislators. There were not only just the COVID limitations, but there were so many newly elected legislators, first freshman legislators this session. And so they have not heard all of the need and the efforts on the infrastructure funding. And so, there was a large education effort as well. And so that need, even though cities and local governments in the state will be receiving a substantial amount of money from the federal government very soon, that is not reoccurring funding. And so we want to make sure that even though we're talking about the fact that we will receive this money, the the issues, the systemic issues are still in place where we need revenue diversification. The Constitution still limits our ability to raise revenue in outside of just a few different ways. We need to move to more of a consumption-based method of collecting revenue. And so those are still priorities for our board. We will still continue to talk about the need to address the road funding formula and the and increasing the amount on the user fee for those who use our roads on the gas tax. So that is the priority of ours as we're working through the interim this session and into next year. We're hoping to still continue to meet with legislators throughout this interim period to continue that discussion. Our board meets, I'm filling in last minute, so I don't know how much time I had on this. Am I over?
Brianna, you all, Jarrett, I think I've got to where you can hear me now.
Yep.
I hope you all appreciate the upgrade in the speaker with Brianna being able to provide the summary. She will provide a link in the chat to the legislative update handbook. I think it's the largest handbook that we've done before that has extensive summaries of all the bills that impact city governments. Likewise, for the county officials on here that would impact county governments, that would summarize more fully all the bills that pass. I think it's 58 pages. I don't think we've had one with so many bills before that needed to be summarized, which was quite surprising in the short session. But Director or Mr. Chairman, I think, I don't know if we filled up most of our time, or you want us to keep talking or take questions. What's your pleasure?
At this time, we can just ask if there's any questions on topics that she covered, or if there's other questions on other legislation. Not seeing or hearing any questions. I guess maybe some closing comments, and then we will let you go on with your travels.
Well, thank you all. We appreciate the working relationship with the area development districts across the state, KIPDA especially, your all's director. We really do, and thanks to you all. I always like coming to your all's meetings. The roll call, calling each one of you honorable. I know that's a stretch for a couple of mayors I see on here, but anything you all need, look in the chat there. You can download that booklet. Anything you see that we need to be looking on for the 2022 session, feel free to reach out to the league, to me, to Brianna, so the board can consider that. We still have a lot of work to do in terms of long-term issues, as Brianna was saying, with infrastructure and tax policy going forward. Despite whatever money Washington may be sending our way, we've got to address these issues over the long term instead of with one-time money. So we look forward to hearing from each of you all and continuing to work with you, and appreciate the time, Mr. Chairman, that you've afforded the league.
Hey, JD.
Yes, sir, Mayor.
Mayor Black, were you saying I'm not honorable? Because I just signed a check for Kentucky League of Cities today for my renewal dues. So I need to know if I'm classified as non-honorable.
Mayor, I didn't specify who I was talking about.
Okay.
But certainly you wouldn't be in that category.
Okay. All right, buddy. I'll go ahead and send the check. I'll go ahead and send the check on out then. Okay.
Thank you. That way I can keep working.
Thank you, JD.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, JD and Brianna. We really appreciate your all's time today, and thanks for all your efforts during the session.
Thank you too. Great to work with you too, Jarrett.
Yeah, thanks, Jared.
All right, we will then move back to the agenda, back up a couple of items. Item number 4 would be minutes. The minutes were provided to you in your packet. As we've done in previous meetings, we'll do a motion in a second We'll do a call for a vote. You can either unmute and verbally vote, or you can just raise your hand. We'll do the same thing if you are opposed to any action that's been presented. So need a motion and a second to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve, Judge Ison.
Second, Judge Vogel.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye, or raise your hand.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That item is approved. Moving on, March financial statements. Tom?
Thank you. In your board packet, pages 21 through 29 are the financial report. And I'm going to try to share them here and get them up on the screen so you can look on your computers. There we are. The first page here is the summary of elements grouped by division. And through the end of March, we're 75% through the year. So you can see that divisions are each within that total level of spending. And where we're significantly under that 75% is generally where we have some carryover money that'll be available and needed to complete projects in the subsequent periods. So we, on that first page, there's nothing that causes any alarm or concern. Then we have the agency-wide line item revenues and expenditures. And again, as you look at that, we don't see anything that's causing any real issues or concerns. First part of it's the revenues and then the expenses. And if I'm going too fast, or anybody sees anything want me to stop and talk about, let me know. But in addition to being on the screen, it's in your handout. Last part of the report is the balance sheet, and it shows we're in a sound financial position. And I'll be glad to answer any questions anyone might have.
Thank you, Tom. Any questions? All right, need a motion and a second to approve the financial statements.
I'll make the motion to approve the financial statement.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. That item is approved. Moving on, item number 7, Transportation Policy Committee. Amanda.
Thank you, sir. The MPO Policy Committee met just before this meeting via Zoom webinar, and staff shared a report of public engagement activities since our last TPC meeting, and that included outcomes from our first of 4 planned outreach windows for the Metropolitan Transportation Plan update that's underway, Connecting Kentuckiana 2050. And we're pleased to have had nearly 700 interactive map comments and 217 survey responses where members in the community pointed to the issues that they were having in their daily commutes. And this information, this feedback will be useful as we move to our next step of developing goals and objectives, and ultimately as we identify proposed projects for the MTP update. The CK 2050 MTP will be completed in the fall of 2023, and you can visit our MTP webpage on KIPDAtransportation.org. TPC also approved a resolution reaffirming its support of KYTC and NDOT statewide performance targets outside of those that we set specific for the region, and this included today for truck time reliability. You can always view our performance management plan on our website, KIPDA.org, under transportation major functions. 8 cost increases for projects funded with our MPO's dedicated federal funds in Kentucky were approved. And TPC also approved the staff recommendation for the allocation of CRISA funds. That's the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act. And those are the funds from the second stimulus that rolled out back in December. $1.2 million for use in Clark and Floyd in Indiana, and $7.9 million federal for use in Bullitt, Jefferson, and Oldham in Kentucky. The allocation formula that staff proposed and TPC approved today is based 50% on each sponsor's estimated 2019 population from census.gov and 50% on their total MPO dedicated funds currently programmed in our fiscal year 21 to 25 TIP, which is seen as an indication of the support, the matching funds that those sponsors were bringing. Sponsors are going to be able to apply those awards that TPC approved today to projects that are programmed in or before fiscal year 23. So for existing projects, and that's because these funds are going to lapse in fiscal year 24 if not obligated, unlike some of our other funding that, particularly in Kentucky, due to the way that Transportation KIPDA handles things, we do not see those funds lapse. So in Indiana, these CRISA funds are going to be 80-20, but many sponsors are over matching existing projects. So this new federal is going to be helpful to them. In Kentucky, even better, the Transportation Cabinet has allowed these CRISA funds to be 100% federal. So the swap with our traditional federal is going to save our sponsors considerable matching funds. And it's good for everybody in the region because all those freed up traditional federal $80-20 will go back into our pot for a larger call for projects this fall. TPC also approved KIPDA's fiscal year 22 Unified Planning Work Program for the MPO, and that just outlines all our fiscal year 22 funding, staffing, planned activities for the upcoming year. You can check that out also on our website, kipdatransportation.org/UPWP. And I'll ask you shortly to consider a resolution that's going to allow us to enter into agreements with KYTC and NDOT to receive all the funding outlined in that document that TPC approved. I'll also ask you for approval to enter into a number of agreements to begin to utilize that funding to spend it. Okay, on to SHIFT. TPC settled today on an allocation of the MPO's 49 project sponsorships for the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet's current round of SHIFT. That's their project prioritization mechanism, and sponsoring a project allows it to be scored and considered for inclusion in the Cabinet's next recommended 6-year highway plan. With the TPC approved MPO sponsorships and the District 5, Highway District 5 sponsorships, we ended up with 19 projects in Bullitt County, 65 in Jefferson County, and 25 in Oldham County being proposed or sponsored for SHIFT scoring. Of course, you can find a SHIFT webpage on our website, kipdatransportation.org. And later this summer, both the ad and the MPO will have an opportunity to see their preliminary scores and then boost or apply extra points to the highest priority projects in our area. I think Randall will also address SHIFT sponsorship momentarily in his report. Last, administrative modification 16. Those are minor changes to the TIP. Those were shared with TPC as a courtesy, minor changes to 8 projects. Our next TPC meeting will be May 27th at 12:30. Likely will not have a technical committee meeting next month. That concludes my report. I do ask for board action for approval, and I will be more than happy to take any questions.
All right, start with questions for Amanda. All right, not seeing any. Amanda, you said we do have a resolution does need to be approved.
That's the next item. Next agenda item 8.
Oh, yes, it is. Thank you very much. So action is requested to approve Amanda's report. Need a motion and a second, please.
Hey, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Before you move on with Amanda, please, this is Mayor Black. And I was wondering if Amanda could give me any information related to Allen Lane project, or is this something that's not in her category? But we have an ongoing project with an underpass at Allen Lane, Commerce Parkway, Highway 146. Is that something, Amanda, that you deal with or have dealt with since being at KIPDA?
I am familiar, Mayor, and if you'll let me get organized after this call, I'll give you a call and we can talk about it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I'll be glad to.
All right. I thought I heard a motion before the discussion. Is that correct?
Yes, Bernie made the motion.
All right. Have a motion. Need a second?
Mayor Black will second it.
Thank you very much. All those in favor say aye. Raise your hand.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That item is approved. Now, Amanda, head to the resolution and the agreement.
Okay, very good. So I have a number of agreements and items to ask for approval on today. And again, just a reminder that our policy committee did approve the work program today that had all these items in there. The first three items, the first three rows, well, can you all see my screen? Yes, okay. The first three rows that I'll address, there's a resolution to go with those three items. And this is all the funding coming in for MPO operations in fiscal year 22, excluding our FTA section 5303 funds in Kentucky, which we addressed at the last board meeting. So the first agreement, the first item is asking for approval for our executive director to enter into an agreement to receive these federal funds and to provide the required matching funds. This will likely be two agreements from the transportation cabinet. The first one for MPO operations, 1.5 million total, 1.2 million federal. The cabinet does provide 5% match of $75,000, and KIPDA will provide the $225,000. The second one is for a special study of Kentucky 329 in Oldham County, 100,000 federal, 25,000 local match. Board action is requested.
All right, need a motion and a second to approve that item, please.
I'll make a motion to approve. Sean Carruthers.
I'll second it. Todd Pollock.
All right, having a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That item is approved. Amanda, continue, please.
Thank you. The second one is for our executive director to enter an agreement to receive federal funds for our rideshare program and to provide match, which we do through van pool fees, 1,181,346 federal with 295,337 in match. Board action is requested.
All right, need a motion and a second, please.
So moved, Judge Vogel.
Second, Bernie.
All those in favor say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That item is approved.
Thank you. The next one is our agreement from NDOT, and it'll put all the things that you saw above together. So you can see our federal PL funds for MPO operations, 254,819 with 63,705 match. There is a special study there as well. A couple locations in Floyd County where we're receiving 30,000 federal, 7,500 match, which Floyd County will provide. But KIPDA is ultimately responsible per the agreement. We have our rideshare program funds that will be in this single agreement, 127,000 as in previous years, 31,750 in van pool match. Our federal section 5303 funds, that's transit planning funds. I mentioned that we did those for Kentucky last board meeting. This is the Indiana piece, 58,620 with 14,655 match. And then last, some federal congestion mitigation and air quality funds that we will pass to the Air Pollution Control District, $200,000, and they will provide 50,000 in in-kind match. Board action is requested.
All right, need a motion and a second for the combined NDOT projects or funding.
Motion to approve. Sean Carruthers.
Second, Jack Kaufman.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That item is approved.
Great. Given the approval of those, Chairman, I believe you'll be able to sign our resolution that's on page 30 in the meeting packet. And I should mention that this table I'm going over is on page 32. Now we're going to start spending the money that you just approved. So thank you for that. The first item, these are the first two items actually, but we'll take them one by one. As it's those federal section 5303 funds in Kentucky that you approved last month, asking to be able to extend an agreement you previously approved so that TARC can continue their fleet electrification study, $100,000 federal, with TARC providing the $25,000 match.
All right, need a motion and a second, please.
So moved, Judge Vogel.
Second, Todd Pollock.
All right, have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. That item is approved.
Thank you. The next one is another TARC study, a mobility as a service study, 125,000 federal that will pass through to TARC with them providing the 31,250 in matching funds. Board action is requested.
Okay, need a motion and a second, please.
Jim Travis makes a motion to accept.
Second, Judge Vogel.
All right, all those in favor say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That item is likewise approved.
Thank you. The next one are those special Floyd County studies. There was an opportunity to apply for some discretionary PL funds in Indiana. We asked sponsors who wanted to go for it. Floyd County did so and was successful. So $30,000 federal for Floyd County, with them providing $7,500 in matching funds. Board action is requested.
Motion to approve, Sean Carruthers.
Second, Jack Hoffman.
All those in favor say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That item is approved.
Thank you. Next, just as we do every year, an important part of our planning program is getting some route monitoring data from TARC. And so we'd like to enter into an agreement with TARC to share 34,500 federal, and we'll provide the match 8,625 for transit route monitoring data. Board action is requested.
Looking for a motion and a second.
Motion to approve, Sean Carruthers.
Second, Bernie.
All right, have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Again, that item is approved.
Thank you. Another critical piece to our annual work program is getting some traffic counts. We do that through contract with Louisville Metro, providing them with 100,000, 80,000 federal, 20,000 match. Permission to enter an agreement with Louisville Metro for traffic counting. Board action is requested.
Motion and a second, please.
Todd Pollock, I'll make that motion.
Judge Riley will second.
All right, have motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. That item is approved. Moving on.
Thank you. And I should note that I wanted to stretch these out over 3 months, but Tom Pope made me take them all today. So you can thank Tom for that. But hey, I'm glad to get them done.
Thank you, Tom.
The next one is that it's that care program. APCD does a nice job with that. We pass through their $200,000 in congestion mitigation air quality funds from NDOT, and they provide the $50,000 in match. Board action is requested.
Looking for a motion and a second.
Don't move, Judge Vogel.
Second, Bernie.
All right, all those in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Again, that item is approved.
Thank you. And last one, this is approval for our executive director to enter into an agreement with Oldham County for the co-management of that Kentucky 329 study and to receive matching funds. Oldham County is bringing the matching funds. So we'll provide $100,000 federal and they'll provide $25,000 match.
Motion to approve, Judge Riley.
Second, Judge Ison.
All right, have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
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 All opposed? That item is approved. Anything else, Amanda?
No, sir. Thank you so much.
All right, moving on, item number 9, Regional Transportation Council, Randall.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. I'll make mine short and sweet. A report. We had a Zoom meeting at 1 o'clock today. We went through the approval minutes of January 28th, had a public comment period, And then we talked about the county transportation updates in Henry, Shelby, Spencer, and Trimble counties. Then another update was on the Kentuckians for Better Transportation legislative update. We talked about the new stimulus transportation bill that is going through Congress and being debated. Also, the next agenda item was we looked at the project sponsors for Henry, Shelby, Spencer, and Trimble counties. We had 20 sponsorships, 4 shifts, like Amanda was talking about, that they've done on the urban side. A motion was approved from Judge Riley to approve the 20 sponsorship for the KIPDA ad for shift. And it was seconded by John Parks. The next agenda item was the public involvement plan update on that. Talked about that. And our next RTC meeting will be June 24th on Zoom. That concludes my report. Motion.
All right, we have a report from Randall. Need to accept that report. Do I have a motion and a second?
Judge Ison, motion.
Todd Pollock, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. That item is approved. Item number 10, Regional Planning Council, Danielle.
Thank you, Chairman. The Regional Planning Council met on April 13th via Zoom. The council heard a presentation from William Metcalf, the Associate VP of Research and Development and Strategic Partnerships at U of L. Their department was just awarded $750,000 from the EDA Sprint Challenge funding opportunity for their pandemic-related product acceleration and responsive entrepreneurship program, or their Prepare program. The Sprint Challenge aimed to enable regional innovation economies to rapidly address the economic, health, and safety risks caused by the coronavirus pandemic through entrepreneurship and innovation. The goal of the U of L Prepare program is to incentivize connections and collaborations between U of L and regional businesses and community organizations in the KIPDA counties to speed development of products that address unmet needs and catalyze the creation of new businesses or growth of existing ones. Applicants will be awarded up to $50,000 to fund product development and will receive support from U of L. Products they are seeking to develop include vaccine distribution, transport, storage, incentivizing vaccination, monitoring outbreaks, addressing supply chain issues, supporting small businesses, preparing for the next epidemic or pandemic. U of L will start accepting applications in October for businesses or community partners to apply for these startup funds. When more information becomes available, I will provide that to the board. The council also heard a presentation about KIPDA's Resilient Kentuckiana website and was encouraged to fill out surveys to help inform the recovery plan that we're doing for the EDA. The council also provided county updates. The next Regional Planning Council meeting will be July 13th at 11 o'clock. And just a reminder to please utilize the HMP portal to view updated hazard information about your county, to fill out the survey, and to provide specific hazard issues on our interactive feedback map. That concludes my report. Action is requested.
Thank you, Danielle. Need a motion and a second to approve her report.
Mayor Black will approve Danielle's report. Make the motion.
Thank you.
Judge Ison will second.
All right, have a motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That item is approved. Danielle, staying with you, Regional Water Management Council.
Yes. The KIPDA Regional Water Management Council held their fiscal year 21 fourth quarter meeting via Zoom on Tuesday, April 13th. Sandy Williams, the Deputy Director with the Kentucky Infrastructure Authority, provided the council with information regarding Senate Bill 36 that was recently passed. Ms. Williams stated that there will be $250 million in federal funds from the American Rescue Act of 2021 Coronavirus State Fiscal Recovery Fund going to the KIA for Drinking Water and Wastewater Grant Program. KIA is still awaiting federal guidelines for this grant money, and Ms. Williams said that they are expecting to be able to share those guidelines with utility systems and the public, hopefully by the first or second week of May. She stated that they do know that the funds will be allocated in the following manner. 150 million will be allocated to each county based on population. The county allocation shall be determined by each county's portion of the state's population from the 2019 census data, with the exception of Jefferson County's share, which is discounted by 50% based on its high per capita allocation from the federal coronavirus local fiscal recovery fund from the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. The allocations by county shall serve as a funding cap for projects within that county. No county's proportionate share shall be reallocated unless by express authority of the General Assembly. 50 million shall be available to KIA for grants to counties to provide drinking water services to unserved rural customers or to counties under a federal consent decree. KIA will consider the social, economic, and environmental benefits in determining those grant allocations. 50 million will be available to KIA to supplement a project grant for a project whose cost is in excess of the county's allocation amount and other available grant sources. Project allocations for projects that include multiple counties are eligible to access allocations from affected counties. Ms. Williams said that KIA anticipates that all projects will have to be included in the WRS portal, and the application process will run through the portal as well. Linda Bridwell, the Executive Director of the Public Service Commission, was also a guest speaker at the meeting and provided an update on PSC. Ms. Bridwell gave an overview of PSC's response to COVID-19 and how they suspended disconnections for non-payment and late fees for PSC jurisdictional utilities because of Governor Beshear's executive order that was issued on May 8, 2020. She informed the council on how the PSC has plans to move forward with addressing water loss, since this has become a big indicator of operational issues. Ms. Bridwell also provided a recap of 2021 General Assembly legislation that relates to PSC activities. Lastly, Randall Kelly, the training coordinator with the Kentucky Rural Water Association, gave a presentation to the council on America's Water Infrastructure Act and how the risk and resiliency assessment and emergency response plan are now requirements of the act for water systems. Mr. Kelly explained how both must be certified by the EPA and how they will assess a utility's risk of being damaged, damage acts designed to disrupt the water system and its risk of natural disasters and hazards. The act establishes certification deadlines for these plans for a water system that serves a population of 3,301 to 49,909. The risk and resilience assessment certification must be submitted to the EPA by June 30th, 2021. The emergency response plan must be certified no later than 6 months after the certification of the risk and resilience assessment. The next KIPDA Regional Water Management Council meeting is currently scheduled for Tuesday, July 13th. However, there will likely be a special council meeting called in June in relation to updating rankings for the purposes of the American Rescue Plan Act funding opportunity. Action is requested to approve this report.
Thank you, Danielle. Any questions?
I don't have any questions, but just to add on to what Danielle said, I haven't even had a chance to speak with her today, but what I have learned this afternoon or earlier this morning from KIA is that there might not be an application process per se for these funds. They might be working through the rankings through the county and the Regional Water Management Council. So as Danielle alluded to, I know that this is typically done in the fall, but then that might not be reflective of your current needs. So Danielle and Justin will be reaching out to you all to do the rankings at the county level, and then also redo our regional rankings in advance of this funding opportunity.
Yes, Justin should be reaching out to folks next week regarding that very thing.
All right. Thank you for the report. Thank you for the additional information, Jarrett. Need a motion, a second, to approve the report.
I'll make that motion. Todd Pollock.
Second, Judge Vogel.
All right. Have a motion, a second. All those in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. That item is approved. Danielle, you're up again. Professional services contract for CDBG administration.
Yes. So first, I want to say congratulations to the city of Bedford for being awarded $909,500 of CDBG public facility funds for their wastewater system improvements project that will replace 3 pump stations and provide sludge removal of their lagoon. I also want to say congratulations to Trimble County Fiscal Court on being awarded just under $35,000 of CDBG self-help funds for the Hardy Creek Waterline Extension Project that will bring much needed water service to 7 households. I am asking the board to approve entering into a contract with the city of Bedford to provide CDBG administrative services in the amount of $50,000 to administer funds for that project. I'm also asking the board for approval to enter into contract with Trimble County Fiscal Court to provide CDBG administration services in the amount of $2,500 to provide administration for their Hardy Creek project.
Motion to approve, Judge Riley.
Second, Judge Ison.
Thank you.
Do I need to abstain? This is Todd Pollock, Trimble County. Do I need to abstain from this vote?
I don't think so, no.
All right.
We'll
Thank you
get
for all your
you.
hard work.
You're
I hear you.
welcome.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve these items. Any further questions, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Those items are approved.
Thank you.
Moving into Division of Social Services, Lynn Evans. Lynn?
Good afternoon, everybody. The Division of Social Services only has one action item this month, and that is requesting for the board to ratify the executive director signing the Title VII FY22 contract. And this contract at this point has not had allocated funds, but it is the contract that allows us to provide ombudsman and elder abuse programs in our area. So I just request that you ratify that.
All right, need a motion and a second to ratify that contract, please.
Jack Kaufman, make the motion.
Second, Sean Carruthers.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That item is approved. Anything else, Lynn?
That's it. Thank you.
Wow.
I know.
Brief report this month.
Just wait till May.
Are you reserving the balance of your time for next month?
In 2 months. We still have not received any contracts from the state other than that one. And probably in May, we'll be reporting all of our allocations and the contracts that will need to have approved, both from the state and to our providers. But thank you very much.
So we will reserve that time for you for next time. How's that?
Perfect.
All right. The ever popular legislation report. This was supposed to be Mayor Bill Deeriff. I believe that Jared is actually going to give that report on his behalf.
Well, I think that Brianna gave a pretty comprehensive overview of the legislative session, but I do want to draw your attention to page 35 in your meeting packet. We outlined some bills that would impact local government and also operations within KIPDA. So you'll find those again on page 35. Not to go into any details on them, but just sometimes we like to look at the numbers. This session, there were 595 House bills filed. 121 of those became law, which is about 20% of the House bills that were filed. Senate bills, there were 286 Senate bills filed, with 81 becoming law, so around 28%. So always just kind of interesting to look at some of those numbers. But again, if you have any questions on any of these bills, please feel free to reach out.
Thank you, Jarrett. The Indiana legislative report, it's interesting, Jarrett, to hear those numbers from you, because the number of bills that were filed in Indiana was 1,000 exactly. This session, they were actually going to try to pare down the number of bills that each legislative person could file. However, that limit, I think, was exceeded by about 250 bills. So it ended up not even being an item to come into play. Of those 1,000 bills, 231 are still active and or have been passed. So that's about 25%. So interesting to know that Indiana and Kentucky are both passing at about the same percentage rate. Some interesting items. The revenue projections that came out in April are indicating that the state will receive about $2 billion with a B, billion dollars more than what they had anticipated over the revenue projection over the next 2 years. Still trying to figure out where that additional money is going to come from, considering all of the unemployment that we had during the first 5, 6, 7 months of the COVID shutdown. The budget is still being worked on. They do not adjourn until a week from today in Indianapolis. So the budget bill is still being added to, taken from, money shifted around. Right now, about 150 million is being looked at for Regional Economic Acceleration Development Initiative. That is a program that was very similar to the Regional Cities program that was put through about 3 years ago. 250 million for broadband deployment grants, 10 million for body camera grants for police officers, 7 million for law enforcement training grants, 100 million in water infrastructure revolving loan programs, and then an additional 60 million for water and infrastructure grants. One of the first bills that came through was a bill to limit the power of the governor in the event of emergency declarations and to allow the legislature to come back in session in the event an emergency is declared. It passed both houses very quickly. The governor then vetoed it. It went back to both houses, was subsequently passed. There is expected to be some legal challenges to that because the governor and some of his staff believe that the bill is unconstitutional. Another bill that was interesting to watch was that for a line of duty death benefit for a public safety official, they have now added any variant of the severe acute respiratory syndrome or SARS, which includes COVID-19. So a public safety officer could get a line of duty benefit if he can prove that he may have contracted that during the line of duty. Another bill related to public safety, it eliminates residency requirements. Prior to this, they had to live within a certain mile radius of their place of employment. That has been eliminated. There's positives and negatives to this. It could increase the hiring eligibility pool from which we draw from. But on the downside, in the event of a major emergency or emergency declaration, response times will probably be greatly impacted in trying to get those officers back to the county or community for which they work. Another bill which passed was deals with electronic meetings and how the state will move forward in allowing attendance such as virtual meetings that we're participating in today for units of government. Ironically, they are exempting out from those electronic meetings airport authorities and boards of aviation. I guess they're concerned that too many of them may be flying around and not want to attend in person. So they've exempted them out. And I'll end with this one. It is now illegal in the state of Indiana for employers to microchip employees. I have read the bill trying to figure out exactly what the intent of this was. I cannot find anything in there, but if you're an employee of an employer in Indiana, it is now illegal for your employer to microchip you. So we will try to research and find out what that intent is there, but that would be the conclusion of the Indiana legislation. And hopefully within the next week, any of those active bills do not have what I would call goofy inserts like microchipping added to them, and that we can get a budget passed for the next 2 years. So I would entertain questions if anybody has any. All right, moving on. Personnel report for the month of April. Kelly.
Thank you. And I think everyone will be happy to know that we currently do not microchip our employees here. So we just have one new hire for the month of April, and that is Marianne Hall. She has been working as a full-time temporary in our Connect program as the Outreach Education Enrollment Coordinator. And she's been hired as our Kentucky Caregiver Coordinator effective April 19th. We had one resignation, Holly Peters. She resigned as the Person-Centered Service Plan Specialist, which is in the Division of Social Services in the Medicare or Medicaid PDS program. She resigned effective March 26th. So currently we have 2 full-time and 1 part-time permanent vacancies. One as a national caregiver coordinator, much like the Kentucky, but it's national, in the Division of Social Services. Still a part-time service advisor position available, and a full-time Person-Centered Service Plan Specialist. Holly's position is now open. All of those job descriptions and salary information are on our careers page on KIPDA's website, KIPDA.org. In total, we have currently 78 full-time permanent, 5 part-time permanent, and 6 full-time temporary staff. This concludes our report. If there are no questions, I ask that action is requested to approve this report.
Motion to approve the report. Judge Riley.
Second, Judge Vogel.
All right, we have a motion and a second on Kelly's report. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Intergovernmental reviews, Jarrett.
These can be taken together. A through C have been distributed for review, and there have been no comments. So A through C are submitted for board approval.
All right, motion and a second to approve the intergovernmental reviews, please.
Motion to approve, Mayor Black.
Second, Todd Pollock. Nice hat, Mayor.
All right, all those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That item is approved. Jarrett, Executive Director report.
Well, first, I want the record to reflect that Judge Summers, Judge Ison, and Jeff O'Brien all joined the meeting after the roll call was made. So at the last board meeting, we had discussed moving to a hybrid meeting with some in-person availability next month for the board, depending on numbers. We still seem to be moving in that direction. So we will be sending out the meeting notice. Please indicate your all's preference if you all will be attending in person. If so, we will have accommodations set at the office. Our hope is that some individuals that have not been able to participate, as we've been conducting these virtually, will be re-engaged as we start coming back to in-person meetings. The TPC meeting is May 27th at 12:30. That meeting is still going to be conducted virtually. We will have accommodations in the boardroom for any members of the TPC that would like to participate in the TPC meeting and then also being on the board meeting. So we will have it set up so you all can participate with the screen set up in our Burke board meeting room. Looking ahead, the Governor's Local Issues Conference is being planned for August 25th through the 27th at the Galt House. This conflicts with the scheduled date of the KIPDA Board of Directors. With many board members and KIPDA staff attending the conference, my recommendation for board consideration is the cancellation of the August meeting. So board action is requested.
This is an item that we have done in the past, and during that month, if there are any actionable items, usually the executive committee is convened to bring those, to act on those, and then if anything needs to come back to the full board for ratification, we do that during the month of September. So we'll look for a motion to forego the meeting in August.
Motion to approve, Judge Riley.
Second, Judge Ison.
All right, hearing a motion and a second, all those in favor of canceling the August meeting and authorizing the executive committee to take action if necessary, please raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That item is approved.
And that concludes my report.
All right, we have been here just a little over an hour. Any other business to come before the board?
Mr. Chairman, let the record reflect I was late today because I couldn't find my cowboy hat, but we will continue to search for it.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend the good guy in the white hat offer a motion to adjourn.
I'm not ready to yet.
This ain't your first rodeo, cowboy. Let's make a motion.
Wait a minute now. In the position of transparency, Judge Vogel's my brother-in-law, and I don't know if his desk suggests he's so busy that he can't get it cleaned off. But my sister, she would have a terrible fit if she knew how his desk looked. I'm sorry, Judge, but she said that's horrendous. But anyway, I know you're busy, Judge, but you're awful busy. But lastly, I was going to ask Todd Pollock, did you take over Henry County and have they gone out of business, Judge? I haven't seen John Logan for a year and a half, so I just thought maybe Todd Pollock took him over and just closed Henry County down.
They're in chapter 11 currently. Mayor,
Okay.
for that motion.
I'll second the next motion.
All right.
And I will contribute that Mayor Black is, despite how it appears there, he is all hat and no cattle. So,
All right, we have a motion and a second.
he does have a cow.
Hey, Judge Ison knows I have cattle in my barn, so that's it.
All right.
We're good.
Thanks for your participation today. If you want to stay on and contribute to the cattle calling, we will let you do that. The rest of us will be exiting. Thank you very much.
Bye.